Hello and welcome to the Better in Business podcast, my friend. In today's episode, we are going to dive into a work-life reset. It is the end of 2024 when I'm recording this, so it is the perfect time to do this. I certainly do this kind of thing every year. So I am just about to take some nice solid time off. It is a time where we slow down. It's a time where we can give our brain the time to think about what have we done the last year and what do we really want moving forward. So I have a bit of a favorite work-life reset that I recorded at the end of 2022. So I always like to record one at about this time of year, but the one I recorded at the end of 2022, I absolutely love it. So we're going to call it one of the greatest hits, and I'm going to drop it in again. So if you hear me talk about 22 going into 23, you'll know that in this case, we're talking about 24 going into 25. It's got a few activities in there for you. Very easy to do in order to help you do a bit of a work-life reset. I hope you do enjoy the episode. Let's get stuck in. You've tuned into the Better in Business podcast, and I'm your host, Jeannie Savage. I'm a multi-award winning business veteran and head of the Strategic Bookkeeper Network. My network of strategic bookkeepers is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs do better in business. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way? Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules and play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar number one for success is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, which is the only way you can see how your business is performing in terms of profit and cash. If your books aren't right up to date, visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper. Bookkeeping is a cost, whereas strategic bookkeeping is an investment that averages a 10x return on the fees. I have created today's podcast to be like a really fast 15-minute powerful mini course to help you set your intention for 2023, both at work and in your personal life. My partner and I did this exercise together while driving up to the beautiful O'Reilly's rainforest area on the Gold Coast for a bushwalk the other day. And we both took immediate action because we set our intention for the year ahead, which meant the action actually came quickly and naturally. By the end of this podcast, you will have 2 words, one for work and one for personal, that will be your theme for the year ahead. Don't skip this one, my friends. Set yourself up for success and to do better in business and in life in 2023. Okay, so let's take a moment to reflect on 2022 and to reset and to set your intention for 2023. So important. As mentioned earlier, by the end of this podcast, I'd like you to have a word for 2023 for work and a word for life, for personal. These words are designed to be central to your day-to-day decisions in 2023 to help you do better in business and in life. So as mentioned, I did this exercise myself the other day. And I want to use my experience as an example to help you out. So I'll tell you about that now. So I came up with 2 words when I did it that reflected how I think I can do better in business and life in the year ahead. So I think it is absolutely true that our greatest strengths are generally a double-edged sword. So for example, one of my really great strengths at work is that I'm a great delegator. The flip side to that I noticed when I reflected on the year that was, is that in my personal life, rather than just get shit done, I have a tendency to want to plan and delegate, when actually it might just be easier to simply be a bit more organized and just do things in a one-touch kind of way. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept of one-touch, it's kind of cool, and it's the idea that you touch things once rather than leaving them and trying to finish them later, which
is not always possible, and you know I'm a big delegator, which I'll talk about again in a minute. So relevant to this, and to continue this as an example, all as entrepreneurs fit into one of these categories, which is starter, maintainer, or finisher. And more often than not, as business owners, we're starters, okay? So we're great with vision as leaders, and we're great at getting the ball rolling. But we're not always great finishers, and that's okay. That's why one of the rules of the game is to build a team. Trying to be all things to all people and be jack of all trades and do everything yourself is not the road to success. Surrounding yourself with a team that complements your strengths and weaknesses is the road to success. But in my personal life, just getting shit done is not only efficient, but sometimes it's good for my soul. And I realized that when I reflected on 2022. So my ability to delegate at work has absolutely helped me scale into a lifestyle business. But at home, when I reflect, it just wasn't always serving me. So my word for 2023 in my personal life was simplify. Now, I am a massive advocate of journaling, of the power of pen and paper and writing things down. And all around us, there's tons of evidence from institutions like Harvard Uni about the power of this. And so when you do this exercise, it's really helpful to be able to scribble and write things down, to go a little deeper, to go down a few rabbit holes with your pen and paper. So if you don't have a pen and paper handy now, I recommend that you listen to this podcast right now. Great idea. But then listen again later. It's only a 15-minute podcast. Sit somewhere quiet with a pen and paper and do this exercise, because if you really want to do better at business and life in the year ahead, you'll make time rather than excuses. I don't pull punches, do I? So now let's get into reflection and come up with your words, okay? So as a small business entrepreneur, your personal life and business will tend to overlap, and that's really important to know. Sometimes people will tell you, well, business and life should be separate. Sure, if you've got a job, but when you are a small or medium-sized business owner, the two just invariably overlap. And actually for most of us, that's okay. We thrive on it. We don't mind it. And when you get your business to a nice point and it's a lifestyle business, it's quite enjoyable, okay? So I really want you to recognize that the two do overlap and that it's okay and it's natural and normal, and that sometimes business will take priority and at other times business will take a back seat rather than being, totally balanced. But for the first part of this podcast, I want you to focus on your word for business. And the key areas that I want you to think about when you're thinking about the business is profit and cash and time and purpose. Okay. Now, in terms of profit and cash, a lot of business owners don't know the difference between the two. And if you can relate to that, then you're in good company. And I want to point you towards my 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins podcast and free ebook. Okay. So you can find that in the Better in Business podcast, and I'll also put a link to it in the show notes. So when you reflect on how your business performed over the last year in these key areas, so profit, cash, time, and purpose, these are the 4 main areas to reflect on. How did you perform in those key areas? So what did you achieve? Okay. What are you struggling with more? Is the business not making as much profit as you need it to make? Do you have cash flow problems all the time that stress you out? Do you not know the difference between the two? Do you need support in that area? Is the business performing well financially, but you're a slave to it and you don't have the time and the lifestyle that you want? Have you got all of those, but it's not giving you the purpose that you want? Because purpose in our jobs, whether we run a business or we have a job working for someone, purpose is so important. Legacy is important too. So I want you to reflect on all of these things around how your business is performing. And then I want you to think about, what are your greatest strengths? What are your greatest weaknesses? What are the lessons from 2022? My entrepreneurial profile is similar to many others. I am a creative starter. I love leading, but I don't really like managing. And as an example to help you out, I'll tell you about when I reflected on 2022. I thought about how I had identified that I didn't really enjoy managing. I love leading, and that I had really made a commitment to step up and to do the 5 key areas of management when needed, which are plan, organise, staff, direct and control. I absolutely did not make a decision to become the manager all the time, but to wear the manager hat well when necessary. I will continue to be the great delegator that I am, and I will continue to employ managers. It's what I've always done. It works really well for me, and it's usually the way to scale. But it doesn't mean that I never have to put the management hat on. And so I reflected on 2022, and I'd done really well in many areas, and I do really, really well in. So if we're looking at those 4 categories, profit was good. I reinvested a lot of my profit into my new personal brand that I'm launching. Our cash flow is always fine. I can pull as much time out of the business as I want because I'm great at scale. And purpose was good, but I was also, the reason for my new personal brand was for more purpose and actually for legacy too. So that's like an example of me reflecting on my year. I love to reflect. I love to set intentions. So through all of that, what I came up with for myself was the word measure. So I will always probably, or that might be a limiting belief to say that, but I noticed that I definitely can be challenged around management. I can be a people-pleasing manager. I can be an absolute softie. And so one of the key areas of management is to measure your team's performance and measure the return on investment that you get from time and money invested into any activity. So to measure numbers and to measure all these different things, which I absolutely facilitate management and my team doing. But I did realize that that word measure would be really, really powerful for me in 2023 when I reflected on profit, cash, time, purpose, and also legacy, and anything else you want to reflect on, but they're the key 4 there for you, and the 1 extra that I added on. Now, let's have a look at what your word is. Thinking about everything that I've just said, thinking about your business performance and what challenges you and your strengths and your weaknesses, what is one word that you could pick for 2023 as your theme to run through everything? That if you did that, or you were that, business and therefore life, because they overlap, would get easier and more rewarding. This word is going to set your intention. And now let's pick your word for your personal life. So the key areas to think about in your personal life are health, time, family, friendships, and finances. They're 5 key areas. There are other areas and you can absolutely look at them, but the 5 key areas I want you to think about right now are health, time, family, friendships, finances. Now, when it comes to your health, this is not just physical health. This is mental, spiritual, and physical health. Okay, so health is definitely the 3. Now, as an example, when I reflected on my 2022 personal life, I was pretty happy in most areas. And the main reason for that, I think, is that on the whole, I'd put my health first, which I always try and do. So my mental, spiritual, and physical health. If I can't put my health first, for me, it's like the canary in the coal mine dying. I need to run for my life. Literally. And actually, from time to time when I observe that my health is not quite coming first, and I observe it really quickly, I think, I need to change something if I'm not getting what I need for my mental, spiritual, and physical health. As an example, my partner and I discussed this, and he decided that he wanted to get back to meditation retreats. And actually, he immediately booked one, and he's literally on his way back right now. And that is the power of doing this, right? Of reflection, so that you can just take a breath, pause, look at what worked, look at what didn't. What did I get? What did I miss out on? What if I did more of something, I would be a better person and show up for everyone better, including myself, okay? So for me, when I reflected, as I said, my health is usually great. However, Latin dancing absolutely feeds my soul. It's where I get my spiritual health. It sets my soul on fire. So I took action around there straight away. I got online, I got a group of girlfriends, and we all agreed that we would do Brazilian carnival samba dancing together. We are all in our 40s and 50s and 60s. It doesn't matter. This is all for fun. We're amateurs, but we're even going to amateur performances. And yes, it keeps me physically fit, but primarily dancing feeds my spirituality and my soul and helps with my mental health as well, because it is bilateral stimulation. Feel free to Google that. Bilateral stimulation is amazing for your mental health. So that's an example of what I did, but the power of reflection and writing things down. I took immediate action. My partner took immediate action. Our lives were better immediately, okay? Now, as I mentioned earlier, my word for 2023 in my personal life is simplify, and I've absolutely started doing that straight away. So when I reflected on those 5 key areas, so health, time, family, friendships, finances, probably time was one where I just thought I could have been doing better with my time. But then, as I said earlier, I realized too, I could save time, but doing some of these personal things I'd been trying to delegate were actually enjoyable and fed my soul. So really reflecting on those 5 key areas helped me come up with that word simplify. Simplify, do more things myself, enjoy it. It feeds my mental health. Things can be really mindful that I was doing, etc., etc. Right? So how are you going in these 5 key areas of health, time, family, friendships, and finance? Okay, so pause the podcast, make some notes, and then any other area that's important to you as well, really important. So what are you crushing and what are you struggling with? Yeah? So think about those things. Choose a word to set your intention for 2023 in your personal life. And we are done, except for one last critically important thing. It is so important to write your words down. So here are some ideas. Liquid chalk or whiteboard markers on your mirror in your bathroom. So you look at them every day, multiple times a day. That is definitely what I'm doing. I haven't done it yet. So after this podcast, I'm heading straight for my bathroom and I am writing my words on the top of my mirror. Okay. So my words being simplify in my personal life and measure. They're too easy to forget if you don't do this, and they're too powerful to forget, okay? I also have an entire wall, it's 10 meters, in my office at home here, painted with whiteboard paint, also known as dry erase paint. Fantastic, okay? So I'm going to write my words at the top of that wall as well. If you're thinking of painting a wall yourself, please know it is a little harder than it looks. You need to get the wall perfect first, because dry erase paint is high sheen and so it shows every single flaw, and I would recommend getting the white one. If you're going to use clear, just make sure your wall is the colour that you want before you do it. But it's awesome. A massive whiteboard is so amazing. So that's what I am doing. Go forth and prosper, my friends.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would love to help you start doing better in business right now by giving you a free little ebook. It's a how-to guide. It's called The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins. And also I've developed a business health check for you. It's super high value. Both are available at betterinbusiness.global. If you would like to fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper to start enjoying a return on investment and get the support you need to optimize your business cash and profit and time wealth, simply visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper near you. I'll see you in the next episode.